this is Nancy with another update on my fantail goldfish. I actually had made an update yesterday and posted it. Some of you may have seen it, but it has since gotten deleted. I won't even go into how that happened, but I will attempt to redo another video on why I decided to have fantail goldfish. When I was little, growing up, we always had community tanks full of tropical fish, and I really enjoyed them. And then I met my husband-to-be, who was very involved and into breeding fancy guppies. He had some beautiful, beautiful specimens of fancy guppies. And after we got married and had children, we got some African cichlids, and we got into breeding African cichlids. We had some beautiful libidochromis and some other various varieties of cichlids, and we enjoyed that very much. And we had to move, and after our move, we did not have fish for a while. So once we got settled where we are now, I really wanted to have some fish again. And so I was considering different varieties. I wanted something different that I had never had before. And I really, really loved the personality and temperament, it seems like, of goldfish. Particularly, I like the fantails. The comets and the commons I didn't have quite as much interest in, and I looked into some of the other fancy breeds, but I didn't quite like the look of those, or just, I don't know, they just did not appeal to me. I know a lot of people love them, and they are very cute, very pretty. They're beautiful specimens, but for me, that was not what I was looking for. And then I found some really, really nice fantails, and there was something about them that were just appealing to me. I liked that they were a little bit fancier than the commons and the comets, but they also had some of the same goldfish characteristics. I just liked them, and so I ended up getting two babies early June. So these are about 9 months old now, and I of course had gotten the one orange one and the calico, and they have been doing very well since I got them. I decided, let me back up a little bit, I am sorry for the reflection. I decided on a very simplistic bare bottom 55-gallon tank for my goldfish. I wanted them to have plenty of room to swim, and I just really wanted to focus the attention in my tank on the goldfish rather than on all the decorations in it. And I like the look of a bare bottom tank with goldfish. Of course, when we had our African cichlids, we had a crushed coral substrate in that tank. But for ornamentation in this tank, I wanted to keep it simple. I have a few plastic plants, which the green ones I got off of Amazon, and also I picked out a couple colorful pink betta plants just to add some color to my tank. And of course I have some smooth stones in my fish tank. I may add a little bit more. I may add a few more plants. I haven't decided yet. But to keep a bare bottom tank really pretty, you really need to do a lot with it to keep the bottom clean. I do 50% water changes every day. And of course, when I'm doing it, I use a Python hose, which makes it easy. I have a couple other videos I made earlier a few months back. There are 2 videos that show me cleaning and using my Python hose on my fish tank, cleaning my tank for algae with my algae scraper. I have magnetic algae scraper. And it's in 2 parts if you want to take a look at that if you're interested. But I find that when I use the Python, I can just pretty much vacuum off the bottom, the debris, the extra debris, and I just like the way the tank looks when I do frequent water changes. Now, some people, these are not tropical fish. I do not recommend doing water changes that frequently with tropical fish, but with my goldfish, I'm also at an advantage because I have a really good well water. It is untreated, there's no chlorine in it, and the parameters are good for my goldfish with it. The pH is at a good level. A little bit on the low side, it could be a little bit more alkaline, but it's still good for these goldfish. They're thriving right now in this for the past 9 months. So when I do a water change, I do not have to worry about that. Sometimes I'll put a little bit of prime in it. If I add some new plants or something, I'll put a little prime in it. But I have not ever had any problems with nitrate or nitrite levels in this tank, and no problems with ammonia. I have a whole kit that I test the parameters occasionally for the water quality. The only thing I do have occasionally is I have some overgrowth of the green algae that ends up on the glass and on the plants, but that is because the location of my tank is near a window and it does receive some sunlight during the day. I used to cover the tank, but lately I've been just letting the sun on. You have to be careful if it's hot. If you live in a house that's not air conditioned and it's summertime, you do not want the water to get overly heated. So my house is air conditioned in the summer, and I am in a northern region, so it's not bitterly cold in the wintertime, but I just make sure when I'm doing my water changes, I make sure the water I'm putting in matches what was in the tank already. That's the only thing I have to be careful of with that. But if you have chlorine in your water, you got to be careful when you do a water change. Make sure you add some prime to your water in the beginning of refilling so that it won't affect the fish. As far as filtration, this is the top of my fish tank. I have double hoods. Again, this is a 55-gallon tank. I have it on a wooden stand right here, and it opens on both sides, which is good in some ways and not so good in others. And these are the lights that I have on it currently. That opens up, and I am currently filtering my tank with an Aqua Clear 70 filter, and it's doing a very good job. Of course, it has a sponge. Let me see if I can get underneath here. It has the sponge, and then it has the charcoal, and then the little balls of whatever it is that they're made of that help the good bacteria to grow. And of course, if you want to keep your filter nice and clean, but when you go to clean your filter or replace parts of your filter, like the sponge or if you choose to replace the sponge and the charcoal, excuse me, or any of the other parts, you want to make sure you don't do it all at once. You want to do one thing at a time so you don't remove too much of the helpful bacteria. And again, if you do frequent water changes, the good bacteria is not in the water. It's on the surfaces in your fish tank, and it's especially in your filter. So you do not have to worry about that, especially with goldfish. Now, once a week, I will take the water down to, I'll remove 70% of the water. I'm sorry, I'm having a little trouble with my camera here. Okay, when you, once a week when I do 70% water change, I will remove the plants and the stones, and I'll rinse them real well with water. And again, if you have chlorinated water, you want to make sure, if you're going to rinse your plants or whatever, clean them, do it with the tank water you already have in your fish tank. I don't have to worry about that because I do not have chlorinated water, but that is something you do have to think about. But I normally will remove the plants. Sometimes I'll do half the tank one day and half the tank the next day. That's what I normally do. And I just rinse the plants real well, rub them lightly with my fingertips, and the same with the rocks and whatnot. And my aerator in the back, I have a white stone that's an aerator in the back that I will clean the algae off of that. But when you have a little bit of sunlight on, it really encourages algae growth. So some people don't want any of that at all, and of course you have to make sure you don't get it in the sun too much, or it's going to heat up the water too hot, especially for goldfish. But I have found that little bit of sunlight just my goldfish really seem to love it. They will swim right over where the sun is. It's almost like they're sunbathing. They really like it. I think it has brightened up their colors, and it also seems to make them more active. Now, maybe I'm just imagining that, I don't know, but my husband said he noticed the same thing, and I have done some reading and research on it, and there are varieties of goldfish that actually live in water that's more shallow, and they do get a lot of sunlight, and of course people put them in their ponds in the summer, so they seem to really enjoy that. Anyway, that's pretty much, I think this is long enough. That's enough for now on my goldfish. I am very interested to know, since I don't have as much experience with goldfish, I am not sure what the sex of these two are. I don't believe it's a pair. I believe it's either 2 males or 2 females, and I am thinking it is 2 females. If any of you know what they are, please leave a comment below. And you can leave comments to let me know, if you have goldfish and what your goldfish are like, how many you have, and I hope to make more videos and updates. I'm not quite sure how often. Sometimes it may be more often, sometimes there may be a lack of time. But anyway, these are my 2 goldfish, and I will hope to make an update probably pretty soon again. Maybe I can talk more about one particular subject, but I wanted to let everyone know how I ended up with goldfish. Again, I just love them. They're very friendly. The fantails in particular just seem so graceful in the water. They just seem to float in the water. I love the way they look. I love their friendliness. They are so used to me. When I change the water, they come right over to me. They aren't the least bit disturbed or traumatized by the siphon hose or excuse me, the python hose. One thing I didn't mention that you would see in my other videos with me changing the water is you want to make sure you don't suck up your fish when you're doing your siphoning with the python hose. Just keep a very close watch on that, or you can put a little netting on the end of it. But and as for feeding, I right now I am using Northfin goldfish sinking pellets, 2 millimeter, and I generally feed twice a day. I give them 12 to 14 pellets, which is about 6 to 7 a piece. And I occasionally will give them, I'll cook some peas and I'll slip the skin off of one pea and I'll just give them a half a pea. I sometimes will do that daily or maybe every couple days. You don't want to give them too many peas. There's something in pea, it's very healthy for them. And it helps them with their digestion, and that it helps to keep them from getting constipated, but you don't want to give them too many peas. There is something in peas that if you give them too many, it can interfere with absorbing nutrients in their digestion and whatnot. So that's it for now. That's enough information. I hope to have another update maybe next week or the week after. Until then, I hope you enjoy your day, and I hope to hear from some of you. Take care. Bye-bye.